right, guys. Here's Donnie Whetstone, Ifbb Pro. He's my mentor, my teacher, my friend. I got him here for some questions, so I'm going to jump right to it. First of all, Donnie, tell me what your stats are. How old you are, weight, height.
Okay, you're talking about the weight and height. Are we going to do the weight and height now, or the weight and height I was at in Pittsburgh? I can do a little bit of both.
Both? I like both. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm 62. My birthday's in June, so I'm 62, and I'm a little under 5'7". I'm about 5'6¾". Right now, as of right now, I'm sitting at about somewhere probably between 218, 220. That's about my actual weight. At the Pittsburgh at the Pro Worlds, I got down as low as, before I started filling out, about 98 or so, and filled out, and I was closer to 210, and then when I dried out, I was about 200, 199, somewhere around in there. So yeah.
And how long ago was the show?
Say again?
How long ago was the show?
The show was what's about 3 weeks ago or so.
Wow, so you bounced back in weight pretty quick.
Yeah, and pretty quick. About 220 is about my walking around weight.
Nice.
So
nice.
Yeah.
Hey, so what got you into bodybuilding?
So I mean, I was just the opposite of you. Of course, you know this and stuff. I was a chunky kid growing up, and I had a defining moment when I was about 11 years old, where I was really teased at the pool and stuff, and I didn't want that to ever happen again, and I vowed it would never happen again. And so I somehow managed to get a Weeder magazine. First, I got a Charles Atlas magazine, and those guys, they kind of looked like athletes. They didn't look like the people that I really wanted to look like. And I was talking to my dad about it, and he says, I think you need to probably get a Joe Weider magazine. And I was like, I didn't know who Joe Weider was. But either way, I found a comic book, I cut it out, and I got this magazine, and it was in this brown paper. And the minute I opened it up and I saw Dave Draper and Larry, Larry Scott and all these guys, that is what I wanted to do. And my life's been changed ever since. And that was back in the summer of '71.
Wow. You remember it vividly.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, next thing I want to ask you is, so how long have you been bodybuilding for?
Well, I mean, I've had the bug ever since then, ever since '71. Wow. I started training. I got in my first bodybuilding contest back in '76. It was Mr. Fort Sill. I was the youngest one there, 16 years old. I was going against just soldiers and stuff, So I've been training, and I've been about 50 years, half century.
So have you had any hiccups, and how did you during your all those years of bodybuilding, any injuries, stuff like that, and how did you overcome it?
Right. So about the major hiccup I had was about 6 years back, and I tore meniscus. I tore meniscus doing leg presses, and that was probably the worst. Of course, we're always going to get little bumps and bruises and tweaks and stuff like that. But that one, it required surgery, and it took me out of the loop for a while, and I had some major atrophy, and I won't say which quad it was, but it got to the point where I actually contemplated whether I was going to go ahead and continue competing and stuff, and I had to do some serious rehab on it, and just some specialized training on it and stuff, and I felt it got to the point where I was comfortable enough to where I could compete again. So yeah.
Wow. And you look at your legs.
That was the worst.
You wouldn't think that your your legs are huge. So, when you tell me that, you don't do the leg presses anymore, and, you tell me what you do and stuff, I'm like,
I went to my orthopedic, I was diagnosed at 50 with moderate arthritis. He said, Donnie, we're not talking about mild arthritis. We're talking about moderate arthritis. And they were talking about, by the time you're 60, you're probably going to need knee replacements.
Really?
So I'm like, well, I still want to compete. I can't just not train legs. Of course, I naturally have big legs. It wasn't like it's one of my problem groups. But at the same time, you got to have your best weapons, you can't win without them, actually. You know what I mean? So you still got to bring them up. So they said, well, just avoid a lot of heavy ranges. You can't do the deep squats. You can't do the deep stuff. So I do a lot of like a time under tension, just a lot of pulsing. I still use a pretty decent amount of weight. It's like I do. It's like a machine hack, and I'll load it up. And I'll put an extra plate on it, and I will do partials from anywhere from 100 to 150 reps.
Jeez.
And that's what I do for my quads, and I do this, 3 to 5 days a week, just depending where I am in training and stuff,
Wow.
Rep, I'm doing about 6-7 days a week, and I will do that, and I do that with my calves too. So it's part of my auxiliary stuff. After I get finished with the main lifts, that's what I go and do.
Which is pretty impressive, because I mean, your average person, whatever training they do, they're not usually they might get close to about that reps their whole training session with all the exercise, and you're doing it one exercise. That's impressive.
It's one where it's almost, well, it's loaded pretty good too. So
I know. I know that machine. So let me ask you this: how many shows have you competed in?
I would say dozens. My first show was in 1976. And trust me, there was no airbrushing. There were no coaches.
You had a tan yourself.
None of that stuff. As a matter of fact, skin coloring back then was illegal.
Really?
Yeah, it was illegal. You couldn't have. You had to have a natural tan. I remember watching the 75 Universe, and they had this commentary about what you could and couldn't do and stuff. And that's one of the things they couldn't do. They couldn't have skin dye. That's what they call it. They had skin dyes, and they would check people, and they'd rub them to see if anything would come off. And, you either get points deducted from you or you get disqualified. It had to be a natural tan.
That's great. When did that change over?
It started changing in the early 90s. Early to mid 90s, it started to change, because I remember people in prejudging actually putting stuff on then. They either had their girlfriends do it or stuff like that. They were doing it themselves and stuff. Those days are gone and stuff. So long gone.
Wow.
I remember that stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Who would you look up to when you started? Was it Dave Draper, or was it multiple people?
Dave Draper, as a matter of fact, and the reason it was Dave Draper, and the reason it was Dave Draper is because they showed a lot of bodybuilders who were skinny first, and then they became bodybuilders. But Dave Draper was just the opposite. He was really chunky. Yeah, he was chunky. Yes.
Okay.
He was chunky, and he became and that's what gravitated me to him, because that was me. So that's what, and he was the first bodybuilder to ever get 21-inch arms. And, arms was a big deal back then, So that's what really gravitated me towards Dave Draper, because, like I said, he was not the proverbial skinny kid, who became a bodybuilder. He was the chunky kid, and that was me. Yeah.
And that guy, he had a really nice physique. Was he a taller guy? Was he 6 foot?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He was a taller guy. Yeah.
And standing next to Arnold training together, they looked about the same height, maybe.
Yeah. He was about 6 feet, at least 6 feet.
Yeah. I think Arnold was 6'1" or 6'2" or something.
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
So when did you become pro?
So I became pro in 2020. It was in Florida at the Masters Nationals. They had moved it in Pittsburgh because I guess Pittsburgh weren't budging on their COVID protocols, and they decided to move it to Florida, and so that's why I got my pro card.
Okay.
So I've been in 1, 2, 3. I've been in 4 pro shows, but I've been in 7 events, because I competed in 2 events in each one of the shows. And 8 events, and I've won 5 of the 8.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I got to say, your last show was pretty impressive. The Worlds. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So, it was a rebound from the Emerald Cup. I was going to do the World anyway, I was experimenting with some things with the Emerald Cup, and it didn't turn out the way I would have liked it to. And that kind of gave me some motivation. But at the same time, I was moving. You know, I got another house. It just got finished being built, and so we were in the process of selling one house and moving to the next. We're in the new house now. The other one hasn't been sold yet. So I'm moving furniture, and well, I didn't move that much furniture, but because we had a moving company do it, but I still moved a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
So I was doing a lot of, just a lot of extra stuff that I normally would not be doing,
Yeah.
Now, you know, if you're like 8 or 9 weeks out, that's fine and dandy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably still kind of get away with it. But dude, I was like 4 weeks out, I mean, so your depletion level is like, it's
Yeah.
up there and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My energy level's in the toilet, and here it is. I'm hauling boxes up and down stairs.
And you got a time limit too.
Yeah, it just was not a good thing.
Game day at the Worlds, how'd you feel?
So, I got through, and you know how we do. We go in phases, and I considered, phase one was successful. And that's the lean out phase. It was pretty successful. I managed to get pretty lean.
Yeah.
So once you get there, it's all about just the other two components of it, and that's the fill out phase and the dry out phase, and the fill out phase went pretty good. I thought I could have slowed down a little bit earlier. I could have slowed down a little bit more. I think my first few meals I kind of took in a little too fast, and I started getting some stomach issues and stuff, and then I had to slow it down. Yeah. Once I slowed it down and settled down, you know what I mean? Because sometimes, even though I got like 2 days to fill out, sometimes you feel you got that short runway.
Yeah.
And you kind of go and your body's not, it's been weeks since your body takes in that amount of volume in that amount of time. Yeah. So I had to write in another mental note that, hey, look, come out a little bit slower, dude. Don't, kind of space those meals out a little bit when you got plenty of time, to fill out. So the dry out phase went pretty well. There was
it went really well.
Yeah, no drawbacks, the whole 9 yards. It was.
And I'm gonna have some pictures for you guys of his latest show, the Worlds, for you to see, and you'll.
Because I started filling out before I even started, even before I left. I think I started. Let me see, Sunday, Friday, Thursday. Yeah, Friday at 1 a.m. is when I started.
Jeez.
Okay. And I just started meals, and just grazing. I was a little fast, but then I settled down a little bit after my stomach, I was like, okay, I need to settle down. And but it wasn't until Saturday that morning that I could really see it. I woke up, my wife, she's looking, she says, whoa, and I'm looking, and I'm just like, okay. All right. It took that long to do that. You know what I mean? It took that long for that stuff to really get into the system. Not in your stomach, but in your system.
Yeah. Wow. I know I want to touch on this later on another show about, how we carb up in the end.
Yes.
But just a little bit, what were you eating predominantly?
So, I go back to my phase one starches. Because at that point it had been like a few weeks since I'd had any starch.
Yeah,
because, how been a while. We gradually pull every week. We pull something, just a little something, and we keep pulling. And then there's hardly anything left. That's not how you do it, because your metabolism is different than mine. Yeah. But I've got one of those endomorphic type of metabolism. So it was, I would say it was about 80%. It's about 75% clean and 25% other. Let's just put it like that. 25% other. But the thing about is the first day I not even a third of the water that I would normally drink, and it's typically about 2 gallons. And then the following day where I'm still filling out, then I have no water. So
yeah. So by the way, this is he also owns a gym, Whetstone Fitness. I mean, Everybody knows. Everybody knows Donnie. Everybody that's in the sport knows him anyway. I go to shows with this guy, and he's just talking to everybody. Everybody knows him. So check out his gym if you guys are in Olympia. You want a trainer? I mean, he trains me, and ever since I started training with him, I went to a plateau, and then I met Donnie, and then I started to grow, and done.
Yeah, you got thick.
That's in the period of time I've been with him, I've
want that muscle that
pretty good.
You just felt that you're just putting slabs and slabs and slabs on.
Yeah, that which is what we want. That's what we want. All right, I got one more question for you before we wrap it up. What are your goals? So what are you looking for now?
So right now, I'm gonna shut it down for the year, because like I said, we've the deal with the house, I've got 2 houses right now. I'm trying to get rid of this one, and so we're going to focus on that, and we're going to focus on some business stuff. And then I'm going to start next year with the E Cup again. We're both going to do it.
Yep.
And I'm going to do the pro division, and then I'm going back to the worlds. Hopefully I can be a 2-time world champion. And then just everybody it's still out there in the ether, that Master Olympia. Everybody's wondering what's going to go on with it and stuff,
Yes.
Ed Corney was the last one to win the 60 division. So, but we don't know how they're going to break it down. We don't know whether they're going to have it by age or, and I'm pretty sure you're going to have a lot of the legends coming out of the woodwork.
Yes.
So
yes.
I know that's going to happen and stuff, but it would be a dream come true if I could actually become an Olympian and stuff.
Yes.
Even if it's just a Masters Olympian, it's something I've dreamed about ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I'm just taking advantage of this moment right now, Alan. That's
Now, you already qualified for the Olympia with the last show, didn't you?
I listened to the commentary,
mm-hmm.
and I know they were talking about it in terms of when Willie Stalin was on, they were talking about qualifications for the Olympia. They didn't say anything definitively, but they just brought it up. And that's how, there's nothing definitive about the Olympia right now. It's just it's more innuendo, but until we see something, that says, hey, look, it's coming, it's on this date, here's the breakdown, here's payout, the whole 9 yards. It's still kind of just out there. What I mean?
Yeah. I mean, they don't even know where they're going to have it yet. But I know there's a lot of old school guys out there. Lee Priest, have you seen him lately? He's shredded, and he's shredded just because.
I mean, he'd probably be in the 50 division though.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, because he's in his 50s, but he's getting ready for something.
But Tony Pearson would be in the 60 division.
Yes,
you would see guys like Tony Pearson, and because he's still doing some stage stuff. I've seen him and stuff. Do some stage stuff, and he's looking pretty good and stuff. But a lot of these guys, and they're probably going to have a little bit of stage rust. But you never know though. So
it's going to be exciting to see. I mean, even you stand on a stage with some of those guys is awesome. I mean,
But I'm gonna plan on bringing it though. So
yeah, I know you are.
I can't. I'm already thinking. I've got to do a little. I'm not gonna really focus that much on size. I think from my height and from where I'm at in in this stage of my career, I don't really need to do all that. I'm just going to focus more on the conditioning and a couple of other things, and just go with that.
Yeah. You were tip top last time. I mean, I seen you at the Emerald too, and you looked great then. But then I watched online. I couldn't make it down there, so I watched it online. Man, you coming out there just like
I wish I could have brought that package to the Emerald. It might have been different because Mel is good.
Yeah.
If I'm off just a little bit, he's gonna let me know if he's on stage.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. So, yeah.
Man. Well, it's always a pleasure talking to you, Donnie. What's that?
I said I love him to death, though.
Oh yeah. Hey, man, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for the interview. We're gonna have many more of these.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, I mean,
some chats.
I'm picking your brain. Everybody else is going to pick your brain. You know, I mean, you're like me. We're here to help people, and that's what we do. So,
Yeah.
and that's what we love. So
Mhm.
we spread the word.
Absolutely, my friend.
All right, man. Well, thank you again, and I'll see you Thursday.
Yeah, you will, man. Be ready to
All
go.
right. Have a good night.
All right, now.